Welcome back to Full Circle, Florida. For 248 years, America has operated on the basis that you are free to pursue your happiness. You're free to speak your mind. But as we know, freedom isn't free, and freedom isn't always fair. Who gets to run the country and whose voice gets heard can often change, especially in uncertain, divided times. This week, I spoke with author and scholar Bradley Onishi. The book is titled Preparing for War, The Extremist History of White Christian Nationalism and What Comes Next. And we are joined by the author, Bradley Onishi. With a title like that, you probably know that I may have offended already half my audience because they're thinking this is not going to be a balanced view of the division that exists within our country. And with words like white and Christian and extremism in the same title, that you're aiming at them and not acknowledging other sources of conflict and extremism, like, say, the rise of anti-Semitism or the protests that we've seen play out this summer with people supporting Hamas. As you know, there are extremists on all sides of the spectrum. So is this book an honest or biased inventory of American politics?
Yeah. Thanks for the question. I am somebody who lived this culture. I was part of a mega church for a long time, was a minister. And I've spent the last 20 years studying these things. And so my goal is never to denounce Christianity. It's never to implicate religion as something that is just, heroically bad in the world. I know there's those voices out there. I'm not one of them. My goal here is simple. It's to point out the extremists who do exist within Christian spaces and the ways that they are hurting our country through anti-democratic means. And so my hope is it is fair. It is brutally honest. It is based on much historical research and evidence. And so I would hope folks would give it a fair read.
You wrote in chapter 1, and I'm quoting here, this is the sinister underbelly of Christian nostalgia politics. The calls for a nation's renewed loyalty and obedience to God are also calls for a return to a time when straight white Christian men had exclusive control of the nation's political and cultural spheres. It is a movement, in essence, to right-size America by taking it back from people of color, women, immigrants, and LGBTQ people, as well as Muslims, secularists, and other religious and non-religious groups. In essence, you write, Make America Great Again is code for Make America White and Christian Again. I don't think anyone can deny that racism and discrimination in all of its forms has held this country back from reaching its truest potential and promise. But is it not fair to say that we have made huge advancements and strides compared to 20, 30 years ago? And your assessment, does it discount half of the country that voted for Trump that is not all white, not all Christian, or even all religious? They must have been hearing something else in that message, Make America Great Again, that connects to them and still does, and did not equate to, as you write, Make America White and Christian Again.
I do think we've made strides since the 1960s. I think we've made great progress since the turn of the millennium. So my goal is not to discount that. My goal is to say, I don't want to turn back the clock to the time before all of that progress. So yes, have we made strides? Of course. The goal now is to not go backwards. It's to go forwards. And I think in regard to those folks who would think about a nostalgia politics and a Make America Great Again, I think that what I'm doing in the book here is not saying that every Trump voter is a white supremacist or a racist or anything of the nature. What I'm pointing out is that based on data, we know that if you are a Christian nationalist, if you're somebody who thinks that the country was founded for Christians and by Christians, and you think that federal government should declare this a Christian country, there's a very good chance that you are a supporter of the Trump movement.
Do you think we're more divided as a country based on race and religion, or is there an argument to be made that we're also divided based on have and have-nots in this economy? Those who feel like the system just doesn't work for them anymore, no matter the color of their skin. Isn't there an argument to be made that America's bigger fault line is socioeconomics, not religion, not race?
There is a tremendous income inequality problem in this country, and that income inequality problem and the disappearance of the middle class can be traced right back to the 1980s and Reaganomics. So for me, the question is if we really are in a place where the economic disparity of the country is the heart of the problem, then why are so many turning to policies aimed at marginalized groups that have nothing to do with that economic disparity?
Because it is right there in the title, Preparing for War. Are you suggesting that the country is headed for a civil war? There's been a lot of talk about that. And is that even realistic?
I think what is realistic is based on what's happened already and where we are as a result. January 6, 2021, we had a violent insurrection at our Capitol. We had the attempt to stop the peaceful transfer of power in our presidential election. Since that time, that event has been remembered by many leaders and politicians and pundits in the country as a moment either of just ordinary citizens taking a tour of the Capitol or as a moment of celebration, something that should be used as a catalyst for further action. The problem lies there. If that is how we remember that, then we can only expect that there would be more of that kind of event in our future, whether it's concentrated at the United States Capitol, whether it's little fires everywhere all over the 50 states.
This is something I am genuinely curious about, whether it's the voices on the right that are saying this country's going to hell because of the liberal agenda, or voices on the left saying the same thing about conservatives. Do you think that most people who are just trying to pay the bills, raise their family, want the extremists on both sides to just quiet down so the rest of us can get some sleep and do our jobs? Is this not a case where the loudest voices in the room get all the attention, and you can argue that the media is part of that, while most of us are just showing up to work, lunchbox in hand, hoping and praying that election night, November 5th, does not lead to another January 6th, and we can get back to a time where the winner is clear and cut, whether it's your guy or the other guy, and we all learn how to move on and live our lives?
I think that's absolutely accurate about millions and 10 millions of Americans. The problem lies in the fact that if we're going to have elections without controversy, then we can't have candidates who are willing to say that the election is rigged even before it's happened. So there's no way for that ordinary American who's trying to just choose the best person for the job to be the leader of our country or a senator or a congressperson or so on, to enjoy that peace of mind you just mentioned if those candidates are developing a politics based on lies and stolen elections even before those elections have even taken place.
Democracy, as they say, is messy, if not complicated, and sometimes a little ugly. The book is called Preparing for War: The Extremist History of White Christian Nationalism and What Comes Next. It will make you think, it will challenge your views. It is a deep dive. Bradley Onishi, thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Full Circle Florida continues right after this.